Business Process Outsourcing, or BPO, has been one of the fastest growing sectors in the Philippines during the past decade. Glowing figures on performance charts reflect the rapid growth of BPOs, made possible by the phenomenal revenues posted by the contact center industry. The numbers speak loud and clear. For the past 10 years, the local industry has consistently garnered the top spot among local BPO players. Globally, the country remains the top destination for voice BPO. A compounded annual growth rate of 21% for the past 5 years has shown its unstoppable ascent. With industry size and opportunity doubling within the period. In the face of the global crisis that hit 2008 until 2011, our industry remained confidently afloat, with last year's growth of 18%, firmly positioning the Philippines as the most preferred offshore location for outsourced voice services, edging out India and China.
Well, they are trying to stay here in the Philippines, and there is one industry that is definitely booming, and that being call centres. There are 800 call centres in this country, and that number is growing. It's overtaken India, which is quite staggering, and that is why the Philippines has become known as the call centre capital of the world.
The estimated 15% compounded annual growth rate from 2006 to 2016 translates to more than 800,000 jobs available and a whopping $14.7 billion in revenue. With such a stellar performance, the country's share of the global market is expected to rise from 24% to 29% in the next 4 years. Clearly, the room for bigger opportunity is immense. Hence, it is important for the country to remain up on its toes if it is to keep pace with the high-speed global growth. Fortunately, a resounding voice in the business has been harnessing the strength of the industry for more than a decade now. Since 2001, the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, or CCAP, has pooled over 100 corporate firms, representing 87% of the industry's total manpower count. As the industry association, it has developed strong linkages with allied associations, government, support industries, and the academe. The first 3 years of its existence initially established the development of call centers as frontliners of the next sunshine industry. For the first time, we showed the world who we are and what we are capable of doing. The next 4 years blazed on as the era of rapid growth. Shortly after the first wave of foreign clients arrived, we found and established our first corporate home, while bravely venturing on our first ever local industry conference and expo. Along with this were our strong initiatives on developing and retaining talent to fill in our growing number of seats. As the final years of the decade rolled by, we confronted the effects of the global financial crisis, confidently pushing on with our robust programs and partnerships within the region. Navigating the crisis opened our eyes to the opportunities beyond, and thus made our climb to the top of the global charts a huge and sweet success. Indeed, CCAP's first 10 years has transformed the organization into a symbol of strength and stability within an industry that was hardly expected to be a major player in the global services sector. Undeniably, the landscape has been most promising. From an ever-expanding range of complex services rendered, to a vertically diversifying business and industry coverage. From a growing mastery of communication techniques and languages, to a rising percentage of global markets now being served. The Philippines is out to prove its eagerness to capture a lion's share of the global voice BPO market. Today, as CCAP begins its next 10 years, it gears up for the newest challenges confronting the industry. Head on, it is working to beef up talent supply in both frontline and management levels. A serious focus on talent retention within companies and the industry at large remains. Close coordination with private and government institutions is being monitored for the continued assurance of a favorable regulatory and incentive business environment. On top of these, all efforts are being made to improve costs in the face of inflation and volatile changes in infrastructure and utility costs, as well as foreign exchange stability. Obviously, the giant strides achieved by CCAP have proven its strong leadership and its huge potential to keep on growing. As the flurry of CCAP endeavors and monthly activities surged on in 2011, focusing on initiated partnerships with government institutions such as TESDA and CHED, representation in the crafting of improved legislative policies, exciting career training and development courses, partnerships with recognized health and wellness firms to promote our people's well-being, sports and fitness activities filled with fun, road shows and jamming sessions, and a concerted effort to improve the overall facilities within member call center firms within next wave cities within and outside Manila's metropolitan network. It has become clear that the next decade will continue to focus on a most positive outlook for the industry. Continued growth. Already, next-level initiatives to effectively transform the landscape are now underway in the form of scaled solutions. Heralding these is a reveal of new initiatives outlined in CCAP's important thrusts. Each corresponds to envisioned flagship programs with target outcomes clearly defined. To make this possible, a new team of CCAP officers has been formed, culling experts and experienced players within the industry. What better way is there to welcome the new decade than by bringing you to our spanking new home at the heart of the country's premier financial district? Step into our new corporate office at the Manila Peninsula Hotel. A new home, a new team, and a new direction deserves a fresh new look for the association. Behold the revitalized colors of the new CCAP logo. Today, as we open the biggest gathering of personalities in the contact center industry, we are in awe of the energy that is building up in this hall. Imagine gathering all the latest technology, analytic innovations, best practices, and state-of-the-art facilities under one roof. CCAP proudly sets the trend and is more than ready to welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, here to officially bring you the good news about the future of outsourcing. CCAP President Benedict Hernandez.
Good morning, everyone. So I don't know if the music is gonna keep running and on and on. I am incredibly excited about what's going on in our conference as well as what's going on in our industry, and I'm really looking forward to the discussions we're going to be having today. I think those are some of the most interesting topics we've ever actually come up to actually have in our conference. I'm here also to report to you some of the numbers and the trends we're seeing for this year for the contact center industry, and that also makes me incredibly excited. If we go to the slide presentation, just diving into the numbers immediately, as if you were tracking what we have been saying in these conferences, we said that at some point we gotta come down from the high teens in terms of annual growth. And we've been forecasting that we're gonna be at about 15% growth rate year on year until the next 5 years. Last year we said that we actually ended up at 17.6% growth in 2011, about 18%. This year we thought it was gonna come down. We did a recent survey representing companies that had over 100,000 employees together. And according to that survey, this year we're forecasting to actually end the year at a 19% growth rate. So we still think it's gotta come down, but it hasn't. No, I think that's simply amazing to see this large, mature industry keeping its growth rate at extremely high levels. No? So I think that for our industry and ourselves in the room, that deserves a big round of applause. 19% growth in a huge sector that is already installed in the country. If we do hit the 19% for this year, we're gonna end the headcount or the population of the call center industry in the Philippines to be almost 500,000. Right? It's actually a staggering number when you think about almost 500,000 Filipinos will be working in our industry at the end of this year. And that is something that makes me terribly excited about the prospects for our industry, but also all the work we gotta do to make this happen. What is it looking 5 years out? Well, if you look at what the analysts are saying the growth for contact centers would be globally, it will continue to grow between 10-15%, an average at about 13% year on year. So there is global growth going on out there. The question is, how much will the Philippines grow in relation to that global growth? So we kind of took the low-end number of 15% and said, if we continue on this 15% January for another 4 years, we are going to end 2016 at 862,000 jobs and $14.7 billion worth of revenues. No? So it's staggering how 10 years ago, this was nothing, and now we're talking into 500,000 employment, almost $15 billion worth of revenue contribution. And for the folks that have been in this industry for a while, I think that's the crack that we are on. That's why we're still here, despite the challenges, despite the things that we need to overcome. A lot of us, Rafi, Jojo, and I, have been part of organizing the conference. This is the 8th year now. I was just telling the folks in the back that maybe on the 11th year, it has to be somebody else up here because we've been doing it for some time. They showed us some photos of 5 years back. I never feel good when you see photos from many years ago. But it's just amazing how we all still are excited year after year. And this is one reason why we get excited. All the growth, all the activity, and all the opportunity. There's tremendous amount of work involved, but it doesn't matter. The future is exciting for us to keep working on it and pursuing it. Do you agree? All right, if you agree, you have to repeat after me. Please repeat after me. I love this industry. Excellent. And then repeat after me. I love my company. There's some more laughing, no? With I love my company. And then lastly, I love my night shift schedule. No, just kidding. So nobody loves that. But tremendous growth. And then if you look at, again, where the rest of the world is going, the fortunate thing for us is our industry continues to grow globally. And if you look at the share of the Philippines in relation to that, we are forecasting faster than global market share growth or global market growth, but we're also being very conservative when we put a 15% annualized number. Again, we've been in the high teens, right? We used to be in the mid-20s, now we're in the high teens. And even at a conservative 15% number, we're going to continue to actually expand the market share of the Philippines in terms of the global contact center activity. Let's look at, these are the figures in billions of dollars. So if we do track at 90% growth this year, we're going to end this year at an $8.4 billion contribution to the economy of the Philippines, and then looking at $14.7 billion 4 years out. Now, the rest of the slides I'm going to share with you, a lot of them are based on that recent survey that we did. That included CCAP members and some non-members that comprise over 100,000 employees. But just to highlight that there are natural trends that are going for us, right? So our tailwind is coming from the global market growth, which as I mentioned, the preeminent brand of the Philippines in this trade. So now the rest of the world thinks if it's voice, it's got to be the Philippines. So that's a solid reputation we've built, and we want to maintain that, and we're riding the tailwind on this reputation. We continue to see in our research that our companies continue to diversify the markets we are serving and the services that we are offering to our clients. And the most interesting thing that's been happening over the last 12 to 18 months is the unprecedented levels of collaboration and support between our industry and government. If you were here earlier paying attention to what Senator Angara had said, there were two important things that he said. In October, the industry is invited to the Senate hearing with TESDA, DepEd, and CHED. And the reason the industry was invited is they want to get us to actually co-architect how K-12 is going to look like to benefit our industry. We are actually in the core of all of the discussions on how we can reform education in this country. So we don't have to deal with very high failure rates in recruiting, and we get people with better skills. All the way down to K-12, right, is what they're asking us to participate in crafting for the future. So I think that's extremely exciting to hear from our Honorable Senator Angara, who's been a staunch champion of our industry ever since the beginning. The second thing that he said, and nobody clapped. No, I wanted to clap, but I don't know if we missed it. He said that, now is the budget hearing and all that. He said that on education, they are looking at earmarking 1 billion pesos for the talent initiatives for our industry. So I don't know if we misheard that. This entire conference is being videotaped. So we have evidence that he suggested that we're going to get even more funds for talent development next year. I had the fortune of being invited in the mid-year economic update of the country by the Philippine economic team. And in that particular session, I was asked about the talent development initiatives we're running. Secretary Abad was in the panel, took the mic and said, last year, we gave the industry 500 million in terms of the near hire TESDA program. And we intend to do the same this year, right? So we keep hearing all of this expression of support. The guys who actually have to run and support the TESDA program, they're not necessarily excited by that, no? More funding means terribly more work for us to actually push and be sensitive and be responsible for the fund. But there's a lot of PP